to be a minimum. If they play fast break football, it's still going to be 3.5 hours that game will take.
Yep.
Most likely probably going to take 4+. So now you're looking at 2 their time that the game's over.
Well,
and
if
then
it goes 4, then you're talking
you're talking 3.
3 a.m.,
So
yeah.
3 a.m. in East Lansing that the game is over.
Right.
And then let's say it takes an hour to get everybody showered and cleaned up, everything picked up on the bus to the airport. And then what is that? It's 2.5, 3 hour flight.
Oh, yeah.
At least, yeah.
You're probably another 3 hours. So they're back in East Lansing the following morning at the earliest, probably 7:30, 8 a.m.
Yep.
But
So, yeah, I think
that's fair
go
to a college student. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Student athlete.
Yeah.
So I think Tom, that game is next week. It's Michigan State at USC starting at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the point is still well made. Like that's probably a good 4-hour flight from Southern California, getting back Sunday just in time for them to be able to study for their classes.
That's
the next
right.
day
Get
on
that
Monday.
homework done.
Student athletes.
Well,
athletes.
We know this probably should be our last thing before we get to the picks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all know our opinions on Desmond Howard, and they can be what they are. But would this be the death knell to your job and your program if these words are spoken? And this is one time I don't know that Desmond Howard is wrong. So I just was scrolling through the Twitter sphere, and they had a video segment from Game Day from about an hour ago, and the whole panel was talking about Florida and their loss last week to USF and things. And Desmond Howard said, I don't think it's a talent thing. I think it's a culture thing. As the head coach of a program, if your culture is being called into question, to me, that is the death knell for your program, and your days are severely, severely numbered. And do you think he was right?
Who did he say that about? I'm sorry.
Dan Lanning at Florida.
Oh, yeah, Dan Lanning's done.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning's done.
Dan Lanning's the Oregon coach.
Or not Dan Lanning. Billy Napier.
Billy Napier, yeah.
Good Lord. Okay, yeah. But you know who I'm talking about. Billy Napier,
Yeah.
yes. Sorry, Dan Lanning. You're doing a phenomenal job, except in 3 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we all kind of thought Billy Napier was going to be done after this season. I didn't even know he was going to make it through the season, and it doesn't look real promising for him going forward. Losing at home to USF, and I think their next 4 weeks are against top 10 teams, so that's not great for him.
But for that quote, for that sentiment to be made about your program, I like to have your culture called into question. That is the bedrock foundation that your team is built on, is the culture that surrounds it and that it rests on. So for somebody to be able to call that into question, when they lose today, I can see him being fired this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He doesn't have a huge buyout.
No, I think he's done. I don't know if they'll lose this week, but I do think he's done. Yeah, once the culture comes into question, I mean, it's the same thing with the Miami Dolphins, right?
Yeah,
called the culture into question, and basically Mike McDaniel's done. So
here would be the one thing that would keep them from doing it. If you fire him right now, you are saying the season is over.
Yeah.
Like, you're throwing the towel in for the rest of the year. But then you have to ask, we're firing him for who? It's not like Florida is just some job. Florida is easily a top 10 job in college football. Easily. Is it not?
Which program?
Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Florida has to be a top 10 in college football. So I would have to believe if they would pull the trigger now and he would be fired, then there's going to be a lot of behind-the-scenes talk going on with coaches who are currently in place. You're not going to hire some up-and-comer. You're not going to hire an assistant. You're going to hire an established coach. I'm going to throw here we go. Our third hot take of the day.
All right.
You want me to predict if Billy Napier gets fired during the year, you want me to predict the next head coach of the Florida Gators?
Let me hear it.
James Tiberius Franklin III leaves Penn State and goes to Florida. Because Penn State does not win the national title, he does the Brian Kelly and says, I feel like I've done everything I can here. Penn State's not a place I can win a national title. Brian Kelly didn't say that, but he said that. I don't think I can win a national title at Penn State, and so he goes to Florida. What do you think, Tom?
That's interesting. I think if James Franklin, and I don't know if they play Michigan this year or not, but they do play Ohio State at Ohio State. If James Franklin still, with the team that he's got this year, if he can't beat an Oregon or an Ohio State or a Michigan, shows that he can't win a big game, he probably wants out of Penn State. The guy seems to be able to coach. He just can't win a big game. He's got, before
he's
last
just like
year,
Brian Kelly.
well, like Ryan Day until last season in the playoff. Everybody said that Ryan Day couldn't win the big game, but James Franklin has been even worse because it's not only in the bowl games, it's in the regular season that he cannot win a big game. I think Josh is off for a couple minutes.
I thought I just heard him come
I'm back.
back.
I'm back,
okay.
fellas.
So did you hear that hot take, Josh? What do you think of that?
Well, I think that would be a downgrade for James Franklin. How about this one? Urban Meyer.
I read a rumor about that this week. I don't see it happening. I'm sure that Urban has the itch to go back, but I don't see that happening.
The only reason I would not see that is Urban is at the point in his life now. What is he, 61?
1 or 2, yeah.
So still young enough to go out and coach for a lot more years. But if he ever gets back into coaching, he's going to handpick the place where he can jump right in and it's ready-made, ready to go. And not that there isn't talent at Florida, but if he would get fired midway through the year, you're going to have people jumping in the portal left and right. And I don't think he wants to be a part of a rebuild, although in the present landscape of college sports, it is a heck of a lot easier to do it now.
Yeah, for me, Nick Saban always talks about how he doesn't make decisions without Miss Terry's approval, his wife. I can tell you, Sherry Meyer does not win. Shelley Meyer, let me make sure I get that right, does not want Urban Meyer on the sideline again. She's
Does
happy
she
with
not
him
want
doing
him on the sidelines or in bars with young ladies on his lap?
Both.
Just asking for a friend.
Yeah, but he seems to be really happy doing Big Noon Kickoff. I think she's happy with him doing that. At Florida and at Ohio State, he ended up leaving because of health issues. Miss Shelley does not want Urban back on a sideline anywhere unless he is doing Big Noon Kickoff.
Josh, what were your thoughts? You muted right when I asked. Do you think that Florida is a top 10 job in college football?
Man, I don't know if it's top 10, but it's probably close. I think it's not top 10 because there's just a lot of competition in the SEC schedule that you play. Like, I think Ohio State's better, Penn State's better, Oregon's a better job.
You think Penn State's a better job than Florida?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there's probably more money at Penn State. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but I think it's a better job. It's you own the state of Pennsylvania, which is a great football state. Really, your only competition is Ohio State year in and year out. So I would put Penn State up there. Georgia's a better job. Texas is a better job. Notre Dame's probably a better job. So Indiana's definitely a better job.
That's 1B
No,
to Ohio State's 1A. Let's be honest.
But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not saying it's probably right on the borderline of a top 10 job. But I think you could say like, you know, like a Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss for Florida.
100%.
But I don't know, like if Dan Lanning would leave Oregon for Florida.
I don't know that anybody at this day and age leaves Oregon for any job.
Mm-mm.
Why would you?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Nike in your backyard who is the biggest supporter. I mean, and you've shown now, it's been shown before Dan Lanning that you can win at Oregon. So I don't know that you could name a job unless, you know, like you're an alum of Alabama or Ohio State or Notre Dame, and then the job comes open. I don't know that Oregon is a job you leave for any other job.
Yeah, it's just hard to really rank the jobs, I think, at this point because of NIL. We don't know what the budgets are.
And
right?
the portal.
When we don't know that because, you know, I think if, let's just say Urban Meyer gets the job, money's going to flood into Florida and it's going to be a top 3 job. Is that because it's Florida or because Urban Meyer's there? If Nick Saban were to go to Florida, it would be a top 3 job just because Nick Saban's going to get the money raised for NIL. So I think the jobs are only as good as the coach is at this point in time.
I love your thinking there, and I think, Tom, you need to write this down because I'm on board with that too. The next coach at Florida will be, and I'm adding him to the list, Josh, so I'm not stealing your thunder. It will be either James Franklin or Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin would just, I mean, he's already killing it at Ole Miss, and they are football through and through, and I get it, but, I mean, Florida with the national titles and the Heisman Trophy winners and the swamp and all of those things, that is tailor-made for a dude like Lane Kiffin. It would be like having the old ball coach back on the sideline with a totally different type of personality, but having that personality back in things. It will be, I am calling it right now, along with Josh, it will be one of those two guys.
Okay.
Yep, I agree.
And you know our batting average, so it's going to be right.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
We're basically the Tony Gwynn of sports radio.
That's exactly right.
Again, Ryan has some bold picks for this week,
doggy,
as he always does. All right, first game, Texas A&M against Notre Dame, -8.5.
This is at Notre Dame, correct?
Yes. Jason?
This isn't just because I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm taking Notre Dame. Miami is showing people they're even better than expected, and Notre Dame had every chance to win that game on the road with a freshman starting quarterback. I think Notre Dame is the real deal. Notre Dame is getting back into the football playoff again this year. I do think Texas A&M is good, and I think Mike Elko is doing a great job there. But the Irish get it done in their home opener, and I can see this being about a 28-10, 28-14 type game.
Okay. Josh?
So it's 6.5 at Notre Dame.
8.5.
No, 6.5.
No, 6.5. 6.5.
Ryan sent it at 6.5.
What was I looking at? Yeah. Okay. -6.5.
I was going to take Texas A&M at 8.5, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame like a 27-20 win. I think that Notre Dame has had some time to figure out, hey, you might have a couple studs in your backfield. Let's give them the ball. So although Texas A&M is good in the trenches, I think Notre Dame, after that loss that they had a couple weeks ago, I think they're kind of figuring it out a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to go with Notre Dame to cover.
Yeah, now that I had the right spread on that, I'm going to go with Notre Dame. If it was 8.5, I would have taken Texas A&M. Ryan also took Notre Dame. Next game, Clemson at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech getting 3.5 points. Josh?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say Georgia Tech covers and wins it outright. LSU has been pedestrian at best. They had chances to win at LSU, but they didn't. Troy is one of the worst defenses that you're going to see in college football this year, and they only put up, I think, 27 points. So
they were
Clemson
down,
is
14-3 at halftime?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Clemson hasn't looked great at all, or good for that matter. Cade Klubnik, who I thought was going to be one of the guys up there for the Heisman, the passing success rate is down to 105th in the country for Clemson. So I think going to Georgia Tech, Haynes King, their quarterback, if he plays, and he is looking like he's going to play, he can run it, he can throw it. I think Georgia Tech has enough firepower to get the outright win, but I'll just take them to cover because that's all I need to do. So Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Georgia Tech also. I'm not going to say outright, although I think they will. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech. I think their quarterback is really dynamic. Clemson has gotten off to a slow start in both games so far this season. I think it'll happen again, and Georgia Tech will capitalize on that. Ryan has taken Georgia Tech outright. Jason?
Well, I have my picks here, and I have them bolded and highlighted, the teams that I picked, and I had Georgia Tech, but because I'm losing, I need to do something a little bit different. So I it's almost like picking Purdue or Kentucky to win, picking Dabo. But I've got to try to make up some ground in the standings. So I will be, even though I do truly think that Georgia Tech covers and probably wins outright, I'm going to pick Clemson just so I can make a little headway.
Okay, our next game, Georgia at Tennessee. Tennessee plus 3.5. I am going to go with, I don't know, my gut is telling me Tennessee, so I'm going with Tennessee. Don't know that they'll win, but I think they'll cover, getting 3.5. Ryan is taking Tennessee outright. Jason?
Outside of the real Death Valley in Baton Rouge, I don't know that you're going to find a tougher environment to play in than Neyland Stadium.
Yeah.
And what, Josh, you've been there. It is at 110 or 115,000 that place holds.
Yeah, I think it's like close to 110. It's insane.
And do we know, is this a noon kickoff or is it a night game? Okay, so a 3:30 kickoff. You won't get the under the lights sensation. Gunnar Stockton has been pedestrian at best so far for Georgia. They're still elite defensively, but they're not like scary elite. I wouldn't be shocked if Georgia ends up winning this game by 10 plus, but for whatever reason, I think it's mainly I'm given the home field advantage and everything. I'm not going to call it outright, but I think that Tennessee can at least cover. So this is the second pick in a row that I have Georgia highlighted and bolded, and I'm taking the opposite of what I just said. So give me Tennessee. I talked myself out of it.
Yeah, I think we're going with a clean sweep here. Look, I talked about Georgia sleepwalking through that game against Austin Peay last week. Tennessee kind of has an addition by subtraction at the quarterback position. Now, Tom, you're going to have to pronounce Nico
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava, which will go down as the worst. Will go down as the worst NIL decision of all time, leaving Tennessee to go play in front of 14 fans at UCLA and just getting boat raced by New Mexico State. Joey Aguilar, Tennessee's new quarterback, has run Josh Heupel's offense to perfection so far this year. I don't think Georgia's good enough to flip switches on and off, like seemingly it was off against Austin Peay last week. So I'm going to go with Tennessee, and I think they also get an upset. So clean sweep on the Tennessee pick.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, the UCLA coach, Deshaun Foster, he has to be crying every time he sees Iamaleava out on the field and thinking that Joey Aguilar, who played at App State, transferred to UCLA, and then UCLA brings in Iamaleava. Aguilar goes to Tennessee. I think if he looks at any Tennessee games, he is going to be really disappointed that he's got Iamalieva.
You guys remember a couple years ago, I think it was Drake May's senior year at North Carolina, that they went to App State and it was an absolute track meet. It was like, I want to say the final score was in the 60s. They each had.
Yeah.
What was Aguilar the quarterback at
I
App
believe
State at
so.
that point?
Yeah, I believe so.
So the kid can put up points. So
All right, our next game is South Florida. I don't think you can call it an upset. They had a win over Florida. Miami giving 17.5. Josh?
Well, this game is on the mighty CW network today.
Look out.
The biggest thing that's hit the CW since Seventh Heaven and Dawson's Creek, South Florida at Miami. I'm not a believer in South Florida. Oh, my gosh, that's a lot of points. Give me South Florida to cover, but it's going to be close. I was going to take Miami, but, man, 17.5 is a lot.
I was going to take USF outright. I'm not going to quite be that bold. I think they cover the 17.5. Ryan is saying South Florida outright.
Goodness gracious.
I've got this one bolded and colored, and I'm not changing my mind on this one. I think Miami is for real good. I was, before the Notre Dame game, I was kind of calling out Carson Beck, and all Carson Beck has done is reminded everybody why 2 years ago he was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. USF has been a fun story so far this year, but, I mean, who have they beaten?
Yeah.
Florida and Boise State.
Boise State, they're real good.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty ain't there no more, and the blue turf is nothing but a circus sideshow anymore. And the only reason that was an upset last week is because it was the Florida Gators. Simply name alone. Again, great story. Happy for him, but and yes, I do. Josh, I'm in the same boat with you. 17.5 points is a lot of points, but it's at Miami. I just feel like they're on a mission this year. I'm going to take Miami in this one.
Okay. Our next game is Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss giving 7.5. I am taking Ole Miss. And Ryan is also taking Ole Miss. Jason?
Should I make it 3 out of the last 4?
By the way, Sam Pittman is on the hot seat at Arkansas. He's going to be maybe the second coach fired this year after Billy Napier.
Should I make it 3 out of the last 4? I have Arkansas bolded and turned blue, but it's the second time this show I've done this. When I looked at the game, I was confusing Ole Miss for Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I forgot that good old Lane Kiffin was at Ole Miss. He's gunslinging it. He's going to air it out. I'm going to have to take Ole Miss in this one.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, Arkansas hasn't beaten anybody yet. These are the games Ole Miss has to run up the score in because their schedule doesn't get any easier. I mean, they do have just Arkansas, then Tulane, but then LSU 3 weeks in the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to say Ole Miss kind of runs Arkansas out of the building here.
I tell you what, guys, on the picks that Ryan sent us, there wasn't a tiebreaker on there. I'm going to take this next game as a tiebreaker. So we'll come back to it. So we'll go to Vandy at South Carolina. South Carolina giving 4.5 points at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. I think this is mine. Everybody knows I love South Carolina, but when you look at how they've played versus how Vanderbilt is playing, I'm taking Vandy, and I've never picked against South Carolina. Ryan's taking South Carolina. Jason?
Go ahead, Josh.
I mean, Tom, if you are taking Vandy over South Carolina, there must be something to that. So, yeah, I'm going to take South Carolina, or I'm going to take Vanderbilt as well. They beat Virginia Tech by 24. South Carolina beat them by 13 on a neutral field. So, I'm going to take Vanderbilt.
Jason?
I can't go 4 out of 5. I still say that South Carolina is almost as overrated as Illinois is, but they do have Lenora Sellers. They are playing at South Carolina. It's only 4.5. I mean, you could easily see this being a touchdown. It's not a huge win, but it beats the spread. So although for IU's sake, I hope Vanderbilt wins, I'm going to take South Carolina. If it were at Vandy, I'm taking Vandy all day.
All right, our NFL games. Our first one, the Broncos at the Colts. The Colts at home getting 1.5. Jason, you're up first on this one.
I was going to look at something. Can
Okay,
somebody else go
Josh,
first?
you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos here. I mean, as well as Daniel Jones played last week, the Broncos are my sleeper AFC championship pick. So I think they take care of business. Sean Payton can outcoach Shane Steichen, and Sean Payton's 3-0 against the spread on the road for the Broncos. So yeah, give me Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos to win that game.
Yeah, I think that Denver's defense is just too strong. Daniel Jones is going to see a defense that's not going to have him completing over 70% of his passes. So I'm going with the Broncos. Ryan has the Colts outright.
I mean, basically, it has to be outright 1.5.
Yeah.
I can't believe this 2 weeks in a row because I like Josh. I think the Broncos are going to be good this year. What I was looking up is I couldn't remember who they played last week. You opened the season with a victory, which is cute, but you did it at home against the Titans by 8 points. Yeah. You're now going on the road. It wasn't
very impressive.
You're going on the road to the big oil drum. I can't believe I'm doing this, but since they won last week, it allows me to pick the Colts into the future. So I'm actually going to take the Colts.
All right, next one, Jags at the Bengals. Bengals giving 3.5.
I'll go ahead and go first since I was supposed to last time. To say less than impressive would be an understatement of the century with the way that the Bengals looked last week.
Yeah.
But they did finally get that win in the first 2 weeks. And I know the Jaguars are better. We just talked about it earlier in the show. One of my hot takes, it's going to be the Jags and the Colts fighting it out in the AFC South. But the winner of the AFC South might be 9-8. Or is it 18? No, it's still 17 games, right?
Yeah.
Being in the jungle down I-74 there in Cincinnati, I still believe in the Fighting Joe Burrows. Give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't think that the Jaguars necessarily play well this week. I think getting that win and not having to go into week 2 at 0-1 is a big thing. So, yeah, give me the Bengals to win this one pretty comfortably.
All right, same thing. I'm sticking with Burrow. He's going to have a much better game than he had last week. Ryan is taking the Bengals also. Our last NFL game, the Bears at the Lions. The Lions giving 6.5. I'll go first on this one. I'm probably going to regret it, but I am going with the Chicago Bears. Ryan is taking the Lions.
Go ahead, Jason, or is it my turn? Or
I can't believe that I'm going to say this, and Josh, I might be the kiss of death because I think I picked them last week and it didn't work out so well. But I'm going to take the Bears.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the Bears. I'm gonna go outright. This is the game that Ben Johnson wants more than anything, and it's his return. I just said that Dennis Allen is an advantage over the Lions offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson is an advantage over the defensive coordinator. I think the Lions were more Ben Johnson than Dan Campbell. I think the Bears bounce back and get the win at Detroit, which, look, they could have won that game last year. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. On Thanksgiving with Matt Eberflus as coach, which he ultimately got fired after that game. So, yeah, I think the Bears go into Detroit and start the season 1-1.
Okay. Our tiebreaker, Florida at LSU. LSU giving 8.5. I am thinking this is going to be utter destruction by LSU, and I think they're going to score a lot of points. I'm going to say 60.
Whoa.
Ryan is taking LSU, but he didn't give me points, so I'll try and get him to send that.
we've already put the final nail in the coffin for Billy Napier. Brian Kelly is nothing if not vindictive. He'll be like a shark with blood in the water. He's going to do everything in his power to send Billy Napier into the coaching sunset. So I'm going to take LSU, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a shootout as Tom.
Oh, I'm not saying a shootout. I'm just saying there's going to be a lot of points.
I'm going to say 48.
48, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to take LSU. I think this is a blowout city. I think Garrett Nussmeier is pretty dang good, and Florida's Florida under Billy Napier. Until that gets fixed, they're always going to be Florida. So, yeah, LSU, I'm going to say final score of 34 to 10, so 44.
44, okay. And by the way, coming into this week, we had a 3-way tie. Somehow, I don't know how I was managed to even stay at 500, but Josh, Ryan, and myself were all 10-10. Nobody's setting this on fire. Jason 7-13 after 2 weeks. So there you go. There you have it.
All right. Well, another 2 hours has come and gone just as quickly as they got here. Beyond the Game brought to you by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Gillenhow Funeral Home, Acra Automotive Group, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, Hamilton Tebby Law Office, and Buy Right Auto. For Tom Fleming and Josh Lee, this is Jason Simpson. We'll see y'all next week.